Good morning. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to code a responsive page. The approach that we normally take is the one called mobile first that we can see in the browser in this simple example, where I have a navigation on the top filling the whole width, so it's easier to touch with the fingers. Then I have one thing I call recipe 1, another thing recipe 2, and a footer, all in one column. So this is like the column drop method, because if we see when we increase the site doesn't respond to the changes in the width of the browser. The markup for this page is this starting page with some initial CSS on it. You can see that there is some CSS styling on the anchors. They display as block. They take up the whole width. When hover, the background is changed. And I see I have something here that is not going to be there. Then we have both columns. They have a class of col. They have a padding of 1em. One of the columns has a yellow background, the other column a pink background. Then we have the HTML part, where I have my anchors inside the nav, and I'm actually linking to an example that is going to work together. So the first page we're working on is the one called responsivemobile.html. If you make a copy of this, we will keep on to do this one. We call this responsive desktop noburger.html, and then a final version and a link to a resource where you can see how media queries or something about media queries. Okay, in the main section we have col A that is also part of the col, and col A, and the next section we have an also part of col class, but also in the col B class. And at the end we have the footer. So in order to make this responsive, we need to plan to think what is going to happen. And when the size increases here, the first thing I want to do is to make the navigation appear horizontally. So they shouldn't display block anymore. And what I can do is to change the display mode. I could choose display inline block, or I could choose to float all of the elements to the left, or I could choose to actually a new approach that you haven't seen before, and that is the one called display table cell. So let's have a look at how this works. So first of all, we have our style sheet, and this style sheet is controlling everything unless we override it. And what we're going to do is, this is the mobile first CSS, and it looks fine for the small screens. Then what we do is we say add media, and then it should target all devices, screen, printers, televisions, and so on. And then there should be a certain condition. The condition I want to use is minimum width of, and then I have tested it, and I say 40 ems, so the size of a character m 40 times. This is the condition, and then we make a set of curly braces here. So this means look for all kind of medias, and only when the size is minimum 40 ems, meaning the small sizes will not be targeted by this one. So mobile devices will not be affected by the CSS we're going to write down here. Okay, so what we wanted is actually inside the nav we have the anchors. We want to change the display of these. And we choose display, and I want the one called table cell. And I have four menu items, so the width of them I want to be 25%, so they can fill up the whole thing. The thing with the display table cell is that the anchors are displaying table cell, but then I need to tell the nav to display table. In this case, nav, this is a parent element, so this one should have a display of table, and this is going to fill the whole width of the browser window, so the width is going to be 100%. We save, we go to our document and refresh. Nothing happens in the mobile view, but when the size of the windows becomes minimum 40 ems, it should change. Here, we reach the point. So here we are about above 40 ems in width, and now the anchors, they display a table cell taking off 25% each one of them. They're inside the nav that is displayed as table and takes up the width of 100%. This is an easy way of placing elements beside each other. But we can see that the navigation is fine. What we want is actually now that we want at a certain point, we want these two blocks here, the yellow and the pink one, to actually also be beside each other. The thing is, when is that going to happen? So this is the mobile view. Now we say, okay, now 40 ems here, it changed to the iPad size. And then at a certain point, the lines becomes too long. So we need to decide when is it that we need to say, now this CSS is not long enough. So we need to make some new CSS for the bigger screens. What we do is that we take and make a new media query. So we're going to target all devices, and we are going to have a condition. The condition is minimum width, and I need to spell, and I will try with 65 ems, and we need some curly braces here. Okay, we're not going to do anything with the navigation, so we're not going to overwrite anything. And the biggest size will inherit from this media query. This is when the minimum size is minimum 65. It's also at the same time minimum 40 ems. So this will also go through. So what we need to change now is the columns. And my two columns, they have a class of col. So I can actually target this. And for some reason, I can, to this one, say display table cell. And I have two columns that I want to place beside each other. So I will give them the width of 50%, like this, and see if that is not enough. And I take my browser and refresh, and then I increase it. So minimum, here we have it, minimum 65 ems, and now the media query ticks in. So what we have is that we have a mobile view that is defined by the CSS initially written, so it's a mobile first approach. When that is good enough, we start making some media queries for the next sizes. So here we say we need to have a change. So we add a media query and add some CSS that is going to control. And what we want to control is the navigation. After that, we say, okay, if we need a bigger screen, at a certain point, when the screen is big enough, for example, as I have chosen here 65 ems, I decide to also make these two sections display as table cell, and they will be placed beside each other.